The Way with Anoa. The Way with Anoa.
Everyone, and welcome to The Way with Anoa. I am here. Hopefully you're here. It's 8 o'clock. It is Tuesday, July 12th, 2016. Oh my God, what a day this has been, right, you guys? I mean, we are approximately 2 weeks from the Democratic National Convention. There's been some craziness going on with the Republican, with their party platform. Like, do we even bother with what they got going on? I just want to send you guys some peace and love and hugs and kisses and best wishes. I know that for quite a few people, who are Bernie Sanders supporters, had a tough blow today. Ben and I and others of the Progressive Army, we've been asking, everyone, like, what are you going to do or prepare yourself because this will happen? And that was just out of love to prepare all of us to make sure that we were mentally fortified for this moment, so that we were ready to continue on and do the work that we still need to do. This has always been a bigger movement moment. This has always been more than Bernie Sanders, right? This is about all of us. And I mean, if any of you caught my little Periscope video I did on lunch earlier today, like I said, you have so much to be proud of. You did this. We did this, right? Bernie raised all that money because we donated. We poured out and we believe. And now we're in phase 2. The next step of our work officially begins. And what does that look like? We're going to continue having that conversation over the next few weeks. There are several organizations and groups that have been born out of this movement. There are many others that have already existed. Regardless of what your issues are that you're really passionate about, there's something out there for you. And I am really committed to helping you find your place in the revolution. I mean, revolution is not easy. This is never going to be, something that we achieve by heading to the voting booth, right? Voting is a tool. Protest is a tool. Right now, shout out right here in Atlanta, right? Actually, like 10 minutes from my house. They have been shutting it down. Shout out to the leadership. Shout out to people who are out there, who are planning, who are grinding, who are making it happen on the hugest levels, right? And I just want to make sure that you all, are good. So if you're listening and you want to hop on the phone for real quick, 857-600-0518. We do have phones for a little bit before I get to my interview for the night, which is also going to be very cool and in the spirit of celebrating you and your greatness, because that's what you need to do. Like, this should not be a sad thing, right? We have accomplished something that no other movement in terms of electoral politics has done in the modern political history of this country. And we're going to keep doing that. We're going to keep supporting down ballot candidates. We're going to keep, for everyone who's going green, Jill Stein probably got the most boost in shares in terms of like ABC News and other hits today than she has since she was running before, So like, seriously, but know your worth, know your value, and know your strength, because you are powerful. Right? Like, seriously, I know, I made some of y'all mad talking about how Bernie didn't do enough in terms of Black outreach. Well, I still stand by exactly what, and that's a whole nother conversation. If anybody ever cares to read the piece that I'm going to write about it, thank you very much. But, he did a lot. He did what he did. And this is the point that we're at. And so now we're moving forward. There's People's Revolution. There's the convention. There's still plenty of stuff moving forward. Check out stuff going on Black Men for Bernie. I mean, the potential is infinite. It's limitless. Do not let the fear mongering get you down. Yes, Trump bad. Ooh. Yes, Trump is a racist. Ooh, I'm so scared. Trump is such a racist. And you can dig up all the pieces from the 80s of him being racist. And yet, and still, your chosen golden calf hung out with him. Your girl hung out with a racist. What does that say about her? I accept people who show me who they are. What does that say about people who hang out with racists? Your boy Bill Clinton was playing at segregated white only country clubs when he was running for president. So save the ooh, so bad. Racism is bad. Yes, I'm black. This is America. I know racism is bad. Please stop quoting Obama. Don't quote Martin Luther King to me because you clearly not listening to nothing Martin Luther King said post I Have a Dream. Because if not, but when? Like seriously, you know not what you do. So tonight I'm rocking my Millennium Falcon shirt because if you're gonna fight the evil empire, you need to be in a Millennium Falcon. Yes, nerd love. But seriously, I mean, I just want to say that to everybody. Just keep your wits about yourself. This is not time to fall apart. If you're going green, excellent. But just make sure you understand exactly how valuable. Like you guys are awesome. Are you gonna start your own? Are we starting our own party? Like know that you're great. Bernie didn't make us. We made him. Sorry, but it's true. Bernie exceeded the wildest expectations because of us, right? Not me, us. Us is the operative word. And whatever happens going forward, we have found each other, we are together, and we are moving forward. And we're going to create such change that the establishment parties are not going to know what to do with themselves. Yes, you may have won this little pitiful little battle. Good for you. Ooh, now you got Bernie tweeting little BS petty tweets like you had Lizzie Warren doing. Good for you. You corrupted his Twitter account. Kudos. Bernie Sanders did send out an email explaining, kind of why he did what he did. It would have been nice, dude, had you given us a heads up. Everyone swore up and down the mainstream media had it wrong. I keep telling y'all. Oh, Lord. But no, seriously. We have some greatness. Keep tuning in to Progressive Army. There's a lot of wonderful voices out there. And yeah, that's all I have to say about that. Next up, tonight, today also was the oh, great. Caller, you're on the air. What's your name and where you're calling from?
Hi, this is Jamie from Progressive Army, and I'm calling from Indiana.
Hi, Jamie. How are you?
I'm fine. I just wanted to call and thank you again, because I've already thanked you once today, for the Periscope talk you had today, because it was something that I definitely needed to hear.
Oh, thank you. I really appreciate that because I was at my lunch and I was just texting random people like, it's okay, just keep pushing. And I was like, you know what? I got Periscope on my phone. Let me just kick out a few verses real quick. And I'm glad that you and other people felt that it was something that was valuable here because that's what we need, right? I mean, some folks need a battle cry. That's cool too. My strength, I think, that's that big sister motherly in me. And my strength, I think, really is kind of helping to keep people motivated and pushing forward, keeping the way clear, the way. But I appreciate you, Jamie, so much. And Jamie actually wrote some really great articles that at some point we're actually going to get around it. There's been so much going on. We haven't had a chance to bring Jamie on, but shout out to Jamie. She's a research whiz, editing whiz, writing whiz here at Progressive Army. Totally wonderful person.
Call from
seriously.
Unknown caller. To add this caller to your current call, press 5. To accept, okay. I've sent the caller to voicemail. Goodbye.
We but we are we are building out. There are a lot of, I think that's really what we need to do. I think take today, feel however you feel, but tomorrow there's work to do. We have delegates who are going to the convention. It's still very important for everyone to go to Philadelphia. We have like I said, we have the people's platform, People's Convention happening July 23rd at the Archer Street House, starting at 10 o'clock. Jill Stein, since now that's everyone's new favorite person, will be speaking, as well as Senator Nina Turner, one of my favorite people. Yes. I will also be there. And it's all day, democratic ratification process of a people's platform. You can check out their website, which I will tweet out after the show because I'm trying to be good and not and focus on you guys. But one of the things I wanted to talk about tonight also was I've talked about Blue Lives Matter before. Ben just most recently talked about it again, the Blue Lives Matter, the push for Blue Lives Matter laws. Pennsylvania apparently is pushing. Oh, great. Caller,
Hello? My name is Q. calling from VA.
Hey, what's going
We
on?
had a couple conversations on Twitter. This is Q Got No Rings on
Yes,
Twitter.
how you
What's up?
doing? Yay, you called. What's going on? What you got to say to me tonight? What's up? How you doing?
Man. I'm good. I hope you're doing good too. I got a question. Well, actually, I got more of a comment, and I want your thoughts on it. Basically, in dealing with all of the recent shootings and all the recent just state-sanctioned murders, basically, I have such an issue with two camps who are quote-unquote mourning this and trying to attack this. One camp I have a problem with is the stat trolls, the Fox News crowd who always reverts and deflects to, well, what about black on black crime, right? And then I have just about the same disdain for the neo-libs, especially the black neo-libs who use these murders under the guise of, hey, this is what we can do for you all. And then when they get into office, they don't do anything. They're just using these shootings as political bargaining chips. And it's shame on both of them, because one camp doesn't care about black on black crime until it's a police officer who shoots somebody. Then the other camp only uses this as bargaining chips so we can get votes. Then when you go into your office to affect change, you don't give a damn about us. And I have so much anger for both of these camps, but I have so much shame for the black neo-libs, the people like John Lewis and Bakari. I have so much. It's just so disrespectful, and I want to get your opinion on that, because that's so damaging to the cause.
Well, I appreciate you so much for calling in. You said you would one day, and it was today. That's awesome. And we'll definitely continue to chop it up, because I appreciate our dialogues on Twitter. But to just to kind of wrap it up a little bit, the two of them, I think that you know, one of the things just ultimately at the bottom line that we need to continue to do, because we vote for people on the promise of what they say will do, but what they say they'll do, but we rarely follow through in holding them accountable. You know, a lot of people feel disillusioned by Obama because he hasn't done anything and this, that, and the other for Black people or whatever, you know, as an example. But, you know, we were so excited and thrilled to have him in office in 2008. There was very little done in organized, coordinated accountability to make sure that there was follow through, or that there were actually like certain measures and stuff, right? Like people point to the police task force that was commissioned last year or the year before last, but the recommendations, one of the primary recommendations was that you know, they need to start keeping track of the police killings. And then his appointee, you know, Loretta Lynch comes in and is like, nah, we don't need to do that. We're not doing that. So, I mean, we really have to, I absolutely understand the frustration and know what you're talking about in terms of when people say they're going to do something and they smile and they dance. I mean, we're seeing that right now, even with stuff going on with Hillary Clinton, right? But I really do feel like, you know, if we hold people accountable, we stay active and engaged in our communities, particularly when we're talking about these local level politicians, right? They need us. They need us more consistently than the people on the national level do. And if we hold people accountable, they live in our communities oftentimes, right? So we hold people accountable, we stay active and engaged. And I understand that it's a lot. I understand we all have lives to live and things going on, but we have to build out strong examples of civic engagement to stay the course. I mean, you know, and especially when we're talking about like the police killings and stuff like that, we really need to, I mean, you know, that also has to do with, you know, how to handle police also deals with who is in our city council positions, who our mayors are. You know, as somebody pointed out, we have a lot of Democratic mayors in these cities and these situations that are happening, and they're atrocious. So, I mean, I really believe that accountability, active engagement and involvement and keeping the community involved, which has been hard because we've been let down a lot by the people who were supposedly elected to protect us. So I definitely appreciate the comment. And as for like, you know, the black on black crime, I just keep hitting people back with facts. I mean, you know what I'm saying? Like black on black crime is some amorphous concept that was created to, you know, escape responsibility for issues that happen. You know, no one ever talks about white on white crime. Matter of fact, the shooting, the killing of the police in Michigan at the courthouse, that was a white man. and nobody's talking about the white on white crime that just happened. No one's calling that a hate crime. No one. I mean, you know what I'm saying? Like the dialogue conversation is completely different. And so we really do need to keep challenging narratives, but actually putting out solutions and then following through. So I appreciate you. Thank you so much for calling. So just to kind of wrap it up, just PA is in light of the Dallas shootings last week. And again, this is not to say that people dying in the line of duty. It's not to say that people who lose their lives are not valuable people. I mean, that should be a given. You know what I'm saying? I'm a humanist. That should be an absolute given. But to elevate killing police officers, as I've already discussed before, as Ben has discussed, as Lee Fangs talked about it, to elevate the killing of police officers to a hate crime. I mean, hate crime is a very specific term of art. It's a very specific designation in law, right? And an occupation is not an immutable characteristic for which you're being, targeted, right? If you don't want to be targeted for being a police officer, you can go do something else. Like that's it's overly simplistic, but it also disregards the fact that if you target police officers, if you do anything, so whether you meant to do something or not, whether you target them or not, there's already very stiff penalties across the country for people who do anything to police officers. So the issue is not whether or not people will get punished. If you do something to a police officer, you most definitely are going to jail if you make it out alive. If you make it out of whatever situation is alive, you most definitely going to jail. Do not pass go. You will not be collecting $200. They'll probably put you under the jail. You know what I'm saying? Like police, like cop killers are prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law and then some. The problem we really do have, and this is what needs to be pressed upon state legislatures and other bodies that are trying to pass these laws. The problem is not that we need to pass laws to protect police officers from the people. The problem is we need to make sure the people are protected from the police. That's the issue we're having. What happened last week in Dallas is tragic. It's horrific. It's awful. It really is. But that does not mean that now in Pennsylvania, we need laws to protect protect police as in under hate crime statutes, which includes things like gender and race. It's not the same thing at all. It really is not. The best thing you could do to keep police safe is to hold them accountable. For real. Hold them accountable and address the issues going on in our community. And, for President Obama today in his remarks to call what happened a hate crime without properly couching the term, he's a lawyer. He should know better. He's constitutional lawyer. He should know better. Particularly when you do have this wave of, these legislative attempts happening. It's problematic. I mean, it's really problematic. And he just gave legs to something and value to this notion that somehow we have to protect police. Like I said, again, what happened is tragic. Oh, awesome. Caller, where are you from and what's your name and your comment?
Hey, this is my first time calling. Enjoy your show.
Yes.
Thank you. I wanted to along the lines of Black Lives Matter. Am I on there? I'm sorry. Hello? I'm sorry. Yeah, along the lines of Black Lives Matter, I wanted to propose, and I'm not out there marching, so this is all my opinion. I don't have the right to pass judgment on strategy or anything like that. But my thoughts were, and I just wanted to get your opinion on it, and I'll take your answer off the air. I think the strategy is wrong. The protests, we are literally out there protesting the people policing us are the people we are protesting against. And it just looks like a recipe for disaster. I don't think we're winning hearts and minds the way we would like to, because the people that are getting to police us, for example, it gets worse because looking at Baton Rouge when the police officers violated the woman's Fourth Amendment and ran up on her property and was snatching protesters off of her property, new precedents are being set, and there's no one to say, hey, stop. These not only do we have the right to protest, but the precedents that police are now, the boundaries they're now crossing, nobody is saying, hey, you can't do that. I think people need to start protesting politicians, district attorneys, court buildings, sit-ins at courts, sit-ins at legislative offices, places where people that control the police can make decisions. But as long as we're out there confronting police, it just looks confrontational without, the police are not going to change their behavior without people higher up telling them they have to change their behavior. And by direct confrontation with the police, to me, doesn't seem as effective as if I sat in at the DA's office. If they couldn't have court one day because people sat in at the court building, and of course those folks would get arrested, yes, but it would stop the wheels of justice to the point where they say we have to do something else. Having these police get to beat up on people in the, is not having the same effect that it did in the 60s where people watched it in horror. But people were protesting something else other than the police. The police were a tool. Now you're actually protesting the police, and so they get to do as they see fit. Just your thoughts on that, and I'll take your answer off the air.
Well, I appreciate the thought, and for you calling in. Thank you. Thank you so much for sharing and watching the show. So overall, I don't know that I agree with the idea that if we're protesting the police and causing confrontation is actually causing us more issues. I think that in protests, in a lot of these instances, it's highlighting some of the issues with over policing and, the need for demilitarization. I do agree, though, that energy, we do need to target politicians. We do need to target the people who are enforcing the laws, who are making the laws. We do need to target people who are addressing policies. One thing that I've talked about previously, because it's an uphill battle to change the constitutional standard in terms of like what a reasonable officer would do. But one of the things, my godmother is a law professor. Shout out to my godmommy, Professor Judith Scully from Stetson Law School. She's a criminal defense. She's a former criminal defense attorney. She actually handled. She did a bunch of civil rights case work. She actually handled some of the John Burge police brutality cases in Chicago. And one of the things we talked about was the fact that there's stuff that police departments can do, that's municipalities can do administratively to address the issues with police, overreach, police shootings, police brutality, police destruction of property, like police behavior, right? Like there are things that administratively can be done, but we have to push for that to happen. There's also a guidebook I found from the ACLU. It's like 20 years old. But it is, I don't know if I haven't looked to see if they have anything more updated, but it was still pretty good and had a lot of really good, action items. And I've tweeted out before. I'll definitely tweet it out again after the show. So I really do think that there's a lot that we could be doing beyond what is happening right now. I think what happens is that people get really emotional and want to gather and have a show of strength. And I understand that. I'm not one to go out there either, but I'm not necessarily going to criticize people who do. And I don't think the caller was doing that. And I definitely appreciate the way he went about expressing his opinion, because I think we need to be able to express our opinions without attacking people who do things that we don't necessarily agree with. Right. So I do appreciate the caller for how he went about, addressing that. But I do think that was an excellent point about how we do need to be talking to our mayors, which here in Atlanta, actually, there was basically they laid siege to the governor's mansion and demanded to speak with Mayor Kasim Reed. And I believe at about 4 or 5 o'clock this morning, I think Kasim Reed did actually come out and talk to them. I haven't, with work and family, I didn't actually get to follow up on what actually had or had not happened. But so I do agree. Definitely, we need to do more than just, protest is one aspect. It is one tool. There's a lot of organization and stuff that is going on for a lot of different groups. Check out Asada's Daughters, BYP 100. I mean, there's so many, Justice League New York. There's so many organizations across the country, Million Hoodies, that we may not necessarily see or know the names, but there is organization going on, and we can definitely leverage our civic effort to helping, their work grow. So I appreciate everyone who's tuned in so far. Thank you to those who have called in. You guys can definitely hit me up on Twitter and we can chat some more. I have an interview tonight. There's a documentary team from Switzerland, apparently, that took interest in our little crazy thing called elections, primary elections here in the United States. And Michael is with me. And we are going to chop it up a little bit about their documentary. And he's going to tell us a little bit about kind of why they chose, to come over here and check out this interesting experience we've all now been living for the past year. Michael, how are you? Thank you for joining us. Oh, I think you're muted. Oh, you just need to unmute yourself. Yeah, the little microphone down there.
Okay, here we go.
There you go. Yay. Hi.
Hi, Anoa. Thanks for having me. I'm doing great.
Thank you so much for staying up. It is after 2 a.m. there, so I appreciate you so much. This is awesome. I watched the trailer earlier when Hank's in it. Shout out to Hank, the youngest member on our team. Hank is still in high school, and Hank definitely booked this wonderful interview for me. So I'm so excited. So can you just give me a little, background information and about the project? Just tell me a little bit about yourself and kind of what inspired you guys to do this. This is awesome.
Yeah, well, actually, I grew up in the States, so I'm American. And then
awesome.
And I've been living in Switzerland for the last 15 years, where I finished my studies in philosophy, and then joined an artist collective where we do transdisciplinary, antidisciplinary work. And one of the members of the artist collective, Lionel Roop, is a filmmaker. Mm-hmm. And so we've been working together on a couple projects, and one of our mutual passions is American politics.
Oh, okay.
Pretty obvious for me, growing up in the States. I grew up in Western New York.
Okay.
But then to have...
wait, where at?
So south of Buffalo, Fredonia.
Oh, nice. My partner's from Buffalo. Very cool. Yeah, so I know where that's at. Awesome. Okay, I'll let you continue.
And now I live in Lausanne, Switzerland, so it's the French-speaking part of Switzerland.
Okay.
And there's a group. We're 8 artists who have different projects going on throughout the year. And one of the ways that we work is that we have these sort of self-produced projects where we put aside money, and then we can use that pool of money to go and do crazy things that we want to do last minute. And that's kind of how it worked out. Was that Lionel and I were sharing a beer one night and talking about how exciting Bernie Sanders' campaign is in the States, and how it's really, there's this groundswell. This is back in April, right?
Right.
This groundswell of support for this very surprising candidate for American politics. And the New York primary was coming up, and we decided just to wing it and buy the tickets and hop on a plane. And we showed up in New York a week before the primary. So the primary was on April 19th. We were there the Tuesday before, and with very little preparation. So what we did is we just kind of headed out to the different headquarters in New York, the one in Harlem, the one in Brooklyn, and just started contacting people and following people around, canvassing, and making contacts that way, sort of surfing the wave of the Bernie energy that was going on.
Gotcha.
And it was an amazing experience. And we met some fantastic people. We spent a lot of time in the Harlem
very cool.
Outreach Center, and there was Michelle Watley, who was leading the I've heard of
Black Outreach. Yes, I'm familiar with Michelle. Michelle and I have gone back and forth. I admin African American for Bernie, so Michelle and I have talked a lot. So very cool, awesome.
Yeah, and so we phoned pretty much just the nuts and bolts of the campaign that week.
Okay.
We were following seasoned canvassers around New York, seeing how people were reacting to Bernie's message, and and then everyone knows how the New York primary turned out. That Bernie ended up winning almost all of the rest of New York State, but he lost New York City.
Right.
But we also saw a lot of voter disenfranchisement.
Okay.
We saw systematic voter disenfranchisement. We saw really people having a hard time even knowing where to vote.
Yeah.
And I think that what we saw was really that there was this movement in New York. There's a lot of enthusiasm, but people just the machine wasn't completely up and running. And so for us, it was really interesting. I mean, it was obviously very disappointing that Bernie lost New York, because I think he running into it, he had a lot of momentum, and that sort of slowed down his campaign. But from a purely film perspective, it was actually very interesting to see this loss, see the people sort of realize that even in spite of all of these efforts that they had, that money in politics is so strong, and Clinton's name recognition in New York was so strong that he didn't get the black vote in New York City, he didn't get the Latino vote, and we were with a lot of people canvassing in minority neighborhoods. And people were receptive to the message, but he doesn't have an army behind him. He doesn't have the money, and so it was really, I think, emblematic of the campaign. So we were really happy to be in New York, but we don't have an unlimited amount of funds. We live here in Switzerland, so it's really expensive.
Gotcha, definitely.
In the States, right? So we were hoping to go to California. We started a crowdfunding campaign. It didn't pick up, for one reason or another. We're sort of stuck at that $2,000 mark, which is great because it'll help us pay for some of the fees that we had in New York. But what we really want in this last week of the crowdfunding campaign is to raise enough money to go to Philadelphia.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Okay, so tell me a little about that. Like, so that would be, so you've been in New York. So are you guys thinking about, continuing the documentary and filming some more in Philadelphia? Or are you thinking about a screening, or like, what's the plan ideally? What would you like? What was the outcome you would like to happen?
Yeah, ideally we'd have several sort of chapters in this film.
Okay.
3 or 4 chapters. We want to have a full-length documentary. We'd like to have an hour, 20 minutes. To then present to different media outlets, to go to different film festivals with it, and to really get sort of the message of this movement out in Europe and even in the States, to really document and what's happening. So we have New York, which was, for the most part, very positive experience. People were very enthusiastic, and I think our documentary, the trailer that we made for the crowdfunding project shows that there was a lot of energy there. And now we'd really like to go to Philadelphia, because I think following what happened today, I still think that there's going to be, as you mentioned earlier in the show, the People's Convention. There's going to be, I think, the People's Revolution and all that, still extremely interesting from both a sociological, political perspective, but also for our film. To see what's going to happen to all of this energy now that Bernie's capitulated and endorsed Clinton. What happened to all of the diehard Bernie fans, and I'm definitely feeling it, and so I'm a little lost today, but I think our film still has a clear direction, and we want to go to Philadelphia. We want to get into the convention. We want to film the inside of the convention. We're looking to get press accreditation through our producer here in Switzerland. Okay. And we want to see, the sort of, smooth corporate side of the Democratic Party, and how all of that, is primed and smoothed over with prepared speeches and everything. And then on the outside of the convention, I think it's going to be extremely interesting. I think I still think there's going to be the masses are going to descend on Philadelphia. There's still that.
Oh, I think if now more than ever, I think there's going to be a critical mass on Philadelphia. So hopefully you guys will get to be there, because I'll be there that Saturday and Sunday. I will be with People's Convention. So that would be really awesome. And I'll definitely, I think Hank had sent me the crowdfunding stuff. So I'll definitely make sure we get that out. Like I said, I admin African Americans for Bernie and People of Color for Bernie, both very large Bernie pages. So I'll definitely get that up for you.
Yeah, every dollar, we're sort of focusing on this the famous $27 donation too, because we know every if a couple hundred people give us $27, we're gonna go, and we'll come and talk to you about it. And we have contact with some of the organizers of the People's Convention, and we really want to get there. And
nice. I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Okay, I was just gonna say, so since you've grown up here, you've lived here, and you've lived over, in Europe, like from that's like an awesome perspective, right? Because we always wonder, like I wonder the chaos, like how do our elections, particularly this election cycle, like how do people what does this look like, for people abroad looking at what's unfolding here?
Yeah, thanks for asking. I mean, I've thought about it a lot, and especially since our documentary hasn't gotten a lot of traction, even among like our circle of wider friends or people are interested in what we're doing, and especially in the media, in both the local and the more national and international European media, we haven't really been following the Bernie Sanders and his movement. There's been also a media blackout. That's come over across the seas.
Yeah, we thought that was just here.
And I think that when I talk to people about this project, or I tell people I was traveling in France recently, that I'm American, everyone just mentions Trump, right? Because Trump's just sort of the guy that everyone loves to hate. And I think that Europeans, in a lot of sense, it's easier for them to grasp a sort of Trump candidacy because it's part of this American myth of just sort of extremism and it's unfortunate because I think a lot of people, if they had heard of Bernie Sanders, they weren't really interested because they probably felt that it was sort of lost from the beginning, that there's no way that America would swing back to the left, to a sort of more socialist, democratic perspective, which is what we have in Europe. I mean, a lot of Bernie Sanders' platform program is pretty much standard fare in Europe. I came to Europe, I was 20. And I was welcomed with open arms in Switzerland. I went to the university with free tuition. They helped me pay for my health insurance. And so I got a great education for free. I mean, I encourage any American who wants to take the leap over to Europe just to get on a plane and come and learn the languages and take advantage of, at least for a couple of years. They don't have to stay like I say. But
my daughter's threatening to move. My daughter is threatening to move. We all have passports, so that's pretty.
Yeah, there might be a mass exodus if God forbid Trump ever becomes.
I know, but I think that's great that you said that. That's pretty much standard fare because that was part of the rhetoric here is like, oh no, it's not as great as it seems. They have that stuff in Europe, but it's this and that's one thing Bernie would say earlier on is like this is like standard. What I'm saying is not even radical. This is standard in so many countries. So many of our allies do this. It makes no sense that they were basically the only ones who don't. Wow. So that's really free healthcare and free college.
It's not free healthcare. I was okay. They just had to prove that I was a poor student.
Yeah.
Now I know it's for my healthcare. Switzerland has a private healthcare system. But it's mandatory for everyone. So if you don't have enough money, they'll pay for it. The government will pay for it. But if you are, working middle class, you have to pay for your healthcare. But it's universal. It's universal. It's not like that in all of Europe. It's actually usually it's cheaper. No, and I think that Sanders here in Europe would be pretty much a center-left candidate. He's not the extremist that the U.S. media has portrayed him as, and as there's a sort of slander campaign, and I agree with Jill Stein. I mean that there was a sort of psychological warfare from the Democratic National Party against Sanders, and I think that the chips were stacked against him from the beginning, and that, it's amazing. I think as sort of an end of a political career, he's had an amazing political career. If this is the end, I mean, he's done much more than we could ever imagine. I think he's really vitalized an entire swath of the population. And it's sort of a depressing day for a lot of Bernie Sanders supporters. And, there's stats coming out that The Guardian says that 85% of Sanders supporters will vote for Clinton. Who knows, But I think that he's done an amazing thing with this campaign. And that's why we want to film it. I think that this could really be the beginning of some substantial change in the States. And I think our perspective, coming from Europe, seeing that it's something that, can be implemented. Implemented, for the betterment of the weakest among us. That filming this and bearing witness to this movement is really what we want to do, because I think in the next, in 20, 30 years, this could be a really important document for American history.
Definitely agree. So, you talked just to go back a little bit to just to what you've done so far, like with the New York process, like just maybe were there any takeaways that you guys had from that part? I know you mentioned that you witnessed like some of the voter disenfranchisement, and we've heard a lot of accounts from people about that stuff too. I mean, I think every primary day we would be flooded on the different pages I help run with tests with people's accounts of this going wrong or someone's video posted. Were there any takeaways, I guess, maybe that you had, or just maybe any thoughts from like actually being there in the mix in New York to now today? Any reflections of like, he's endorsed now. I mean, we had all the excitement. It was one way, and now here we are. Everyone is in that kind of like, blah, where do we go from here? Which is why I'm trying to be upbeat.
Yeah. Well, I mean, what I saw was, the New York elections went off except for the purging of those 100,000 or so.
Right, in Brooklyn, yeah.
Votes in Brooklyn. I mean, there weren't long lines. I think the problem was much more systemic, and the fact that independent voters couldn't switch their affiliation, or they had to switch back in October in order to vote. So these very, these barriers, these systemic barriers to voting were very present. Everyone we were talking to, there were a lot of independent voters who couldn't even vote in the primary.
Right,
Going out and canvassing and trying to convince the registered Democrats to change anyway. So on the primary day, we didn't go. We couldn't. You can't go film in the booths or anything.
Right.
So we pretty much just heard and followed some people trying to get people to go out and vote at the last minute from the Harlem headquarters and everything. But what I really think we saw and what we witnessed is that we met people who didn't even know. They thought they could just go vote at their school, for example. So no, you have to get up early. If you've got classes, you've got to go across all New York. And maybe you'll find your voting booth. And I mean, it's insane for people in Europe because like it's so easy to vote. You can easily mail in your ballot. You can, and it's really making it difficult for people to vote is one of the ways that I think Clinton got her, beat Bernie Sanders by almost 400 delegates. When Sanders, endorsed Clinton today, I think it was really against his own heart because he knew that if the system had been less rigged in favor of the establishment candidate, I think he really had the popular vote. I really think he did. I think in the hearts and minds of American people, and that's what we saw in New York, that he's the candidate that everyone wants. And so that's what we saw in New York. And it's almost intangible in a lot of ways because it's so systemic that it's some more in the conversations that we filmed and people canvassing, going door to door, and people being like, my wife's Democrat, but I'm an independent and I can't even vote, so, people really upset that they couldn't participate in the New York primary for several reasons, right?
Right.
That's what we saw. We really saw that there was this, everything, Bernie was fighting an uphill battle. And he had been from the beginning. And it's true. He said today that it's amazing that he has 1,900 delegates. I think that if people can start to change the system, get rid of the superdelegate process, and learn more about their civic duties as well. Like, how do you vote? Can we make the voting process easier for people? Get the young vote out. I think next election cycle, I think that there can be a real big difference. And some more progressive candidates, maybe a new progressive presidential candidate can win.
Awesome. So do you think that today's endorsement, do you think that changes the direction of your documentary at all? Or does it just give you a new layer to kind of play with? Yeah, well, we, I was looking at some of the earlier documents that we wrote in April and sort of predicted it, or like when, what's going to, and our question is what's going to happen to that energy when and if, and now it's happened that Bernie endorsed Clinton. It doesn't change the direction of our documentary because we're following the course of events as they happen, and we're intuitively meeting people, striking up conversations on Twitter, and so this interview could be part of the documentary.
coming and seeing you in Philadelphia could become part of the documentary. So
Right.
on the table, and everything's always been on the table. So we think that we're not looking at an objective perspective, because obviously Bernie Sanders is an amazing candidate, but we're looking at it from a different perspective, looking at it from a more European perspective. And the fact that this happened is actually super interesting from a film perspective. So and so no, it doesn't change the direction. It makes it maybe a little more difficult to convince people to give us help fund the documentary, because people don't want to necessarily watch a documentary about defeat of a candidate. I think people love winners. People want to maybe watch a documentary about Clinton or Trump. But we're going to continue making this documentary about Bernie's movement and the people behind it.
I think that's great. I think just the positive stories you shared about how hard people in New York, I think that's an example that we saw all over the country. Yeah. And I think people do need to be reminded of, because a lot of it was the strength of people, right? Bernie was a great candidate, put a lot of great stuff on the platform, on the table here in the US that no one's seen since, basically FDR, like 80 years ago. But the people, and I'm really excited about the prospect of seeing, what you guys got going on, because we did something. That's why I try and keep it positive. I mean, this is phase 2 now, because we keep talking about, he says it's a revolution, but revolutions don't end with voting. So I anything you'd like anyone to know, it's almost time for me to say bye.
Yeah.
But anything you want anybody to know before we close out for the evening?
Yeah. I'd like to just share the Twitter handle for the
yes, definitely.
It's at Citizens Film.
At Citizens Film, and I've been tweeting them for like the last hour, so definitely check them out and give them a like.
We call the film "The Work in Progress" is Citizens United, because we want to reappropriate that term. So it's Citizens United with an exclamation point. Nice. Should unite, and it's not the Supreme Court decision. It's what's wrong with money in politics. Let's get citizens to unite.
I love that.
So check out our Twitter handle. We're putting out some interesting GIFs. We're continuing our project on a more transmedia.
I love the They Live GIF earlier. That was great. That's one of my favorite movies.
We're doing it, and we've been working on that for like 2 days. So
that is like one of my favorite movies. I love that.
And if anyone's interested, we'll keep them up to date. Follow me on Twitter and the project on Twitter, and we'll keep everyone up to date, and hope to see you in Philly.
Awesome. Well, I definitely will be in touch, and I'm definitely interested and want to learn more, and I'm going to share all the information, whatever pages and groups I'm in. I'll make sure it makes the round. So I appreciate you so much. Thank you for staying up. We'll have to do this again sometime, and I'll try to see if we can.
Great conversation. Love talking to you.
I appreciate it. I enjoyed talking to you too. This is great. And also, you guys check out the trailer I tweeted out earlier too. It's pretty awesome. So thank you. I appreciate you. Have a good night.
Yeah, have a good night for you too.
Or morning. I'm sorry.
That's fine.
Bye.
Bye. Thanks so much.
Thank you. So you guys, that is it for this week on The Way. Ben is coming up next with this awesome interview. Like, I just had a really awesome interview. But Ben is talking to Tim Canova. We talk about the future. We talk about next step and moving forward. Tim Canova, who's running against Debbie Wasserman Schultz down in Florida. Millennium Falcon, got to fight the evil empire. Really excited for this interview. So definitely make sure to stick around, or if you are just now tuning in, we'll head on over and watch Ben together. I'll be in the chat room. Like I said earlier on, I understand that people are frustrated, angry. I've seen so many different emotions expressed, particularly on Twitter, but this is unfortunately the nature of politics, but we are in it for the long haul. Revolution is not something to be taken lightly. This is not, some cool thing we just did for fun for a little bit. I understand that we've all been working hard for a very long time, but we have so much more work ahead of us. So, take a break, take a deep breath, do what you got to do, but make sure you get on back in there, because we need you. So you are powerful. You are excellent. You are everything. Please know that. All right. This is The Way with Anoa. I'm out.
The Way with Anoa. The Way with Anoa.